Let's go. All right, we're live. Let's go. We got a few good things to get into this evening. I'm going to start with a little bit of old news. Hey, Whiffy, good to see you. Thank you for joining. I'm going to start with a little bit of old news. This is from a month ago from Plant-Based News. Mikhaila Peterson no longer carnivore. I'm not going to lie, I'm mainly playing this so that I have time to finish eating my dinner. But it's only 10 minutes long, so we'll see. We'll see what Mikhaila Peterson's saying. Or what the Plant-Based News team are saying about Mikhaila Peterson, rather. Hey, Poe, nice to see you. Yeah, I'm streaming a little later than I usually do. I've been on Mother's Day dinner today, or Mother's Day lunch. So seeing my mummy earlier. But we got some good stuff to get into. So let's go.
Hey everyone, this is Klaus from Plant-Based News. Well-known carnivore diet advocate and influencer Mikhaila Peterson has announced she's no longer carnivore anymore, and also that they're set to be the first ever very large, she says, randomized control study into the carnivore diet. Let's dig into this a bit more.
I am so excited to announce the launch of the very first and extreme.
Okay, big if true. This is one thing that the carnivore people like saying. There's very little evidence about carnivore diet per se, which is true, as we've seen in the debate with Matt Acton and the prep for that. There really is. Oh, hey, thank you so much, Weffy. I appreciate that. Damn, thank you for joining. I love that. Welcome from Poland. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, there really is very little evidence on carnivore diets. We have a lot of evidence suggesting that plant-based diets are healthier, resulting in better health outcomes over time. But there really isn't much about carnivore either way. So let's see what Mikhaila Peterson has to say.
Extremely large, randomized clinical study on the carnivore diet, specifically the lion diet, the ketogenic diet, and rheumatoid arthritis and IBD. After years of being like, hey, tens of thousands of people are putting their incurable illnesses into remission on an all-meat diet, maybe someone should actually run a study.
Okay, that's interesting. The outcomes straight away. Obviously, they're selecting for things that they think that carnivore diet is going to have a positive impact on, right? You mentioned rheumatoid arthritis. That's actually not one that I've heard them talking about. And IBD. That's going to be an interesting one because it could well be the case that symptoms of IBD, irritable bowel disease, improve in the short term from adopting a carnivore diet. But that's just going to be mainly an effect of an elimination diet. Right, there's all sorts of things that you might be allergic or intolerant to in a wide-ranging diet, and so if you cut out everything except presumably red meat, you mentioned the lion diet. I've never heard of that one either. But yeah, if you eliminate almost everything from your diet, then chances are you're going to see some improvement for some of those kind of symptoms in the short term. Now, as we've discussed, it's not particularly feasible to do long-term RCTs, and this won't look at any long-term outcomes. So, when we talk about red meat consumption increasing the risk of heart disease, cancer, overall mortality, those are not generally going to be things that you're able to measure in the space of 8-week or 12-week or whatever it may be randomized clinical trial. So instead, they're going to look at arthritis and IBD. Like I say, it could easily be some improvements in the short term for IBD, but that doesn't obviously outweigh. Well, first of all, it doesn't demonstrate anything about the carnivore diet specifically, right? It's just you're removing almost everything from your diet, and it's not going to outweigh more serious health effects like heart disease and cancer risk. What are the other things you mentioned here?
Let's dig into this a bit more.
I am so excited to announce the launch of the very first and extremely large randomized clinical study on the carnivore diet, specifically the lion diet, the ketogenic diet, and rheumatoid arthritis and IBD.
Kind of weird phrasing of that. Okay, so rheumatoid arthritis and IBD are the two outcomes that she's mentioned that they're going to look at. Let's hear more about it.
After years of being like, hey, tens of thousands of people are putting their incurable illnesses into remission on an all-meat diet, maybe someone should actually run a study. With no success, a fantastic doctor reached out, Dr. Robert Abbott, a medical doctor, and said he'd be interested in running the study with his team. I've set up a GoFundMe if you'd like to support this study, which would be greatly appreciated. I can guarantee every single dollar that's sent there will be going to the study only. The study is going to cost about $450K, which, hold on, it sounds like a lot.
Okay. So it sounds like they don't have funding secured to actually run the study yet. They've got somebody who's interested in being, I suppose, the lead author on the study or lead researcher. But they don't actually have funding secured. I wonder how easy they'll find it to meet that threshold on their GoFundMe page. Well, this is a month old actually, so we could probably check it out. GoFundMe carnivore trial. Here it is. Okay, after a month, they've raised about a third of that amount. This is all donations. Is bloody hell. Okay, 100K if that's come from one person. Then 25K from someone called Mikhaila. Then 2K, 1,500, so on. This is all the donors. Oh no. Wait, it says 551 donations. There's got to be more than that. Okay, yeah, okay, there's more. So about 551 people have donated to this. They got 100K from one person, 25K from someone else. And those two donations are the majority of what they've got so far. But there's still, only at 1/3 of the funding. So, I mean, who knows if this is going to go ahead at this point? I am in Bristol in the UK, Weffy. How worried are you that they could be biased? Well, honestly, you can tell a lot from the study design and conceptualization. I think already, like based on what she said in the first minute of this video, I think it's already kind of flawed. In that it's going to be a short-term trial, as RCT just tend to be, and it's going to be looking at IBD. So it's basically like how often you're shitting. I'd be quite happy to grant that people might shit less if they go on a carnivore diet, but it's and so I think that would be an unsurprising finding, right? But the problem is going to be all of the inference that they do from that. Yeah. So, I mean, one problem with that is already, as I said, it's just kind of any elimination diet. So you might be getting IBD as a result of something that you have in your diet that you're intolerant to. Let's say you have an intolerance to quinoa. Now you go 100% carnivore and your IBD clears up. Well, you might have had that same effect on any diet that was just your regular diet less the quinoa, basically. So, and of course you're going to be eating no fiber as well. So yeah, you probably are going to shit less. Shitting frequency decreased in an 8-week randomized controlled trial of a carnivore diet. It's going to be like an unsurprising finding. But of course, they're going to, and she already, the way that she's framing it, lifelong disease, lifelong incurable, intractable diseases were completely cured by going on a carnivore diet. Like, okay, well, this could well be achieved by any other diet which just removes the thing that you're allergic or intolerant to. It's not necessarily an effect of the carnivore diet per se. And then also, you're not going to be observing long-term health outcomes, which we know you're increasing the risk of long-term chronic disease with high red meat consumption. So yeah, I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't take lowering my shitting frequency in exchange for increasing my risk of heart disease, cancer, and overall mortality. But that's just me.
But it's actually
depends how much this girl's shitting, I guess.
Incredibly inexpensive for a study this size. The GoFundMe is linked here and below if you're interested in funding an incredibly well organized 6-month study that might change thousands.
6 months, okay. Well, fair enough. That's longer than I said. I said 8 or 12 weeks. 6 months, fair enough. That's longer than I said. I mean, even so, of course, it's not going to be long enough to observe a lot of the serious chronic health conditions that are going to have their risk increased by going on a carnivore diet. I mean, I guess that you could find that some proportion of the people in the carnivore group drop dead of a heart attack. I wouldn't have thought that 6 months is going to be long enough to attribute that to the change in diet. But yeah, even the selection of outcomes and like the overall framing here that she's talking about, I can already, I guess that's a type of bias. It's a weird just framing of the whole thing. Hey, Ressa, thanks for joining. Nice to see you.
Thousands and thousands of people's lives, and even the mainstream medical view of dietary intervention. So let's get into study details. The purpose of the study is to determine the effectiveness and efficacy of a ketogenic or carnivore lion diet for quality of life and symptom burden in individuals with IBD or RA. The rheumatoid...
I hate that phrase. Why do they call it the lion diet? That's so bait. Come on. Just say carnivore. Is there any difference between carnivore diet and lion diet, or is she just saying that because it sounds cool? I mean, come on. What's the coolest vegan animal? The gorilla diet. You want to sign up for the gorilla diet, son?
Rheumatoid arthritis part is obviously personal to me. That's what caused me to have my ankle and hip replaced at 17, be in an unbelievable amount of pain for about 20 years of my life. And that's what I put into remission with dietary intervention, astounding my physicians. So this part comes directly from the study. We hypothesize that the implementation of the ketogenic and the carnivore lion diet as either an adjunctive therapy or monotherapy will improve health-related quality of life and decrease symptom burden in those with symptomatic IBD or RA. In order to take part in the study, you need to be diagnosed formally with rheumatoid arthritis or inflammatory bowel disease and be willing to provide medical documentation like medical visit notes or laboratory data so the study team can confirm a diagnosis. You also need to be brand new to the diet. You can't have started it already. You need to be willing to do the ketogenic diet or the lion diet for 3 to 6 months at the same time as other people, depending on what group.
Stop saying lion diet. That is so bait. Come on. This is really reflective of the meathead IQ. That is such... Gorilla diet. Yeah, we're making that happen now. Gorilla diet, Mog's lion diet for long-term important health outcomes like chronic disease and overall mortality. Lion diet, you're going to increase your risk of heart disease, you're going to increase your risk of cancer. Gorilla diet, you're really going to decrease the risk of those chronic conditions. So, she's talking about arthritis and IBD. She made sure to specify there's the arthritis that she has, not the IBD. So perhaps a normal shitting frequency for Mikhaila Peterson. We don't know. We could spend some time speculating about her shitting frequency, I suppose. But yeah, gorilla diet, you're really going to get better health outcomes in the long term than the lion diet. So,
Group you're sorted into.
We should also think of the lamest carnivorous animal. They're obviously trying to brand it lion diet, right? Because lions are quite cool, let's be honest. What's the lamest carnivorous animal? All right, quite a distinctive answer from. Scavenger, vulture, the vulture diet. That's good. They're sometimes considered lesser carnivores because they do not actively hunt, much like human carnivores. Vulture diet, scavenger diet, weasel diet. Is a weasel carnivorous, really? Weasel carnivore or omnivore? Weasel specialized carnivores. Alright, weasel diet. That's the new branding for carnivore diet. Their suggested lion diet, I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. I think weasel diet is better. Yeah, I think I like that. Henceforth, carnivore diet is called weasel diet. And vegan diet, of course, is gorilla diet.
We're hoping to start the study in early 2026, but we're taking applicants right now. When I say people should jump on this opportunity, I really mean it. The diet's changed my life. I do not take medication. I do not consider myself someone with arthritis, and I haven't for...
Hoping to start the study in early 2026. We're nearly a quarter of the way through early 2026, and they are not yet half funded. Donations paused. Oh, I'm only just seeing this. Donations are turned off because the charity connected to this fundraiser is no longer supported by our payment processor. Oh, what happened here then? Vultures are cool too, yeah, kinda. Jordan Peterson does kind of resemble a weasel, true, Stephen. So it looks like their GoFundMe has been suspended, I guess, because the charity connected to the fundraiser is no longer supported by a payment processor. Fuller Research Foundation. No, it's not Buckminster Fuller Institute. Fuller Research Foundation. Let's do it with the quotes. Oh, maybe it is that. To explore borderline technology and structural design, specifically geodesic domes. Yeah, is this what this is? Okay, it looks like this is maybe the old name. I don't know if this is the same organization. Alright, but anyway, their fundraiser looks like it got halfway and then got suspended. Because the... Oh, okay, is her name Mikhaila Fuller? Is her name not Mikhaila Peterson? I guess maybe she got married, hey? And then Fuller Research Foundation is just her own organization, I guess. And GoFundMe has suspended the page because the charity, I guess, isn't recognized. So it's possible that this was just a grift. All right.
Nearly 10 years. So if you potentially want to change your life and...
What's going to happen to the 100K now? Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe they're going to talk about it in this video. I'm not sure. Yeah, what happens if a GoFundMe doesn't reach its goal because the charity is suspended by GoFundMe? What happens if a GoFundMe goal is not met? If a GoFundMe campaign does not reach its set goal, the organizer still keeps all donations received, minus transaction fees. You do not lose the money raised if you fall short of the goal. Organizers can change the goal amount, increase it, or end the campaign at any time. So she just keeps the money, I guess. It sounds like the study, as far as I can tell, is not going to go ahead because they don't have the funding for it. Unless there's some... I don't want to say too much on this without having verified it. Go Peterson Carnivore study. The lion dies. Okay, I'm not seeing anything about it recently. Here's a post on Facebook from 3 months ago when they're collecting money for it. I'm going to comment on it. I see the GoFundMe was stopped because they don't recognize your charity. What will now happen to the... Was it 169? Nice. 169k raised so far. Will the study go ahead? Well, this is pretty good goss, if you ask me. I wasn't expecting to find that they'd got almost halfway into a fundraiser. They've got not quite half of what they wanted to raise here. GoFundMe has now paused the campaign because they don't support her, what seems to be just her proprietary charity. And I guess that she just keeps the money? We didn't get any results for Fuller Research Foundation. This is supposedly her... Mikhaila Peterson. This is supposedly her charity. Oh, here we go. fullerresearch.org. All right, okay. All right, here we go. This is the website for the foundation. I suppose this is her husband, hey? This is the guy who reached out looking to do this study that she mentioned. I don't know who this person is. There's JP. There's JP. Scientific advisor, of course. So here's the Fuller Research Foundation, which is Mikhaila Fuller, formerly Peterson's organization. Charity, I suppose. Let's see if there's actually a registered charity. Okay, 501c3 non-profit, fair enough. They've raised about a third of what they wanted to run the study. And I wonder why it was suspended from GoFundMe. News, let's have a look at the news page. Okay, it's not in chronological order, which is not particularly helpful. But in any case, Well, February 2026 was the most recent thing. I guess this is just like a general news about carnivore diet. It's not from their organization, hey? Curated collection of peer-reviewed studies. Yeah, this is not anything that they've done. So this is about the study that she's mentioning here. Can't find any news about this. First thing when you Google this, science shows carnivore diet is best left to lions. Yeah. No evidence that carnivore diet is for 90% reduction of all diseases or treats. What an immense claim! 90% reduction in all diseases. You'd have to be dumb to even articulate that claim. Alright, so Google News searching for Mikhaila Peterson carnivore study is not bringing up anything of interest, it's just bringing up a load of articles about the risks of carnivore diet. Okay. Seems like her foundation, which is presumably paying a salary to the team here, is just going to be keeping the money at this point. They have not got enough to actually run the study. Alright, let's see if there's any more information forthcoming in the video, I guess.
And help who knows how many other people by taking part in the study. Please sign up below or send the link to someone you know that might be interested in participating, or please consider sharing and donating. Thank you guys so much. I'm really excited to share the results, regardless of what they are, I guess about 8 months from now. Talk to you guys soon.
It's my first time ever hearing of getting funding for a study through GoFundMe, but it's opening up the door for like these independent patient-led research, like private individuals, right? These biohackers trying to raise money to hire a lab or a group of doctors to do this work. And I feel like this is where the ethical lines get blurred a little bit, right? Yes, you have a research question in mind. However, they already have the answer set in terms of the idea of the influencer. Does that make sense? Whereas the doctor would be like, we're setting aside this research question to investigate this. We're setting significant controls, which she's talking about, right? You have to experience RA, you have to be able to show your medical records. So there are some systems in place, but I still think the ethical tension is really torn with this quality control, right? Preventing harm and selling snake oil.
You're basically saying this is...
Yeah, there's also kind of an issue with recruiting participants through a carnivore influencer. Like she's advertising, hey, come sign up to the study, click below, right? This is how they're gonna recruit people. To the extent that any of the symptoms that they're talking about here are self-reported, that is also introducing a significant bias here, right? If you're a Mikhaila Peterson follower and you watch this and say, oh, that's great, I'll go and sign up to the study, and I'm a fan of Mikhaila Peterson, I guess those people exist. Presumably you're going to be quite motivated to report positive effects from going on a carnivore diet. That's probably something, if you were trying to get an objective view on whether there are positive effects of going on a carnivore diet, and you need to rely on self-report to some extent, right? IBD, I don't know how arthritis is going to be measured, but presumably there's some point in here, particularly with the IBD, there's going to be like questionnaires, self-report, how often are you going to the bathroom, right? I don't think that they're going to have people following everyone to the bathroom all the time. Could be wrong. So there's going to be some amount of self-report. Obviously, there's also, I guess you can't really do blinding on a trial like this, right? You can't have people are going to know which condition they're in because they're going to be eating the food, right? So you know that if you're in the carnivore condition, you're also self-reporting your symptoms to some extent, and you've been recruited to take part in the study by Mikhaila Peterson. Yeah, I think there's probably room for significant bias there. Like you wouldn't want, if you're going to do some sort of study of are there particular health benefits from going vegan, you wouldn't want to recruit people to that study through like watching an Earthling Ed video and sign up here for the study, right? Because obviously those people are going to be motivated to report benefits from going on a vegan diet. So yeah, if you want to have an unbiased study, I mean, there's so much wrong with this already.
This is your intuition, but I think if you break it down, right, there's nothing wrong with somebody going out and saying, hey, here's my hypothesis, let's test it. But I think I agree with your general sense, which is just like, go fund me for something that's in many ways the opposite of what is recommended by decades and centuries of data, case control data showing you can reverse heart disease, the progression of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, prostate cancer, backed up by epidemiological data, like all pointing towards plant-based. And then you're getting a GoFundMe trying to raise money to test out a carnivore diet just seems not quite watertight to me.
Well, to me, it's like in traditional science, a study proposal, right? It's ripped apart by these doctors, these experts before it even gets a dime, right? We're talking about, is this safe? Is the math correct? Is the science sciencing? Is this actually possible or impossible? Can I get funding for this? And I have never imagined funding to come from a doctor calling an influencer to set up a GoFundMe, because here we're the judges or the people that are paying for the research, they're the public, and you're risking pseudoscience with the budget.
Well, I mean, she's obviously saying there's been tons of people it's worked for, but she is the...
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? I don't know if there's a problem necessarily with having studies funded through a GoFundMe. The way that is working, though, of course, like they're all coming to that GoFundMe from this carnivore influencer. And so effectively the funding is from presumably pro-carnivore people. Now, we've spoken before about how biased source of funding doesn't necessarily mean that the study is biased. It's certainly you could say it's a red flag, right? That you want to say, okay, this was funded by some organization or individuals with an interest in this area, and so that's cause for looking further and seeing if it is actually, watertight. But I don't know if there's any. I'm not sure about that criticism of like it's bad necessarily if it comes from a GoFundMe. It's certainly unconventional, but we could all get together and fund some study on whatever. Now, if we did that, we'd want to make sure that it is not being conducted in a biased way. Here, I think it's like conceptually problematic already, as I mentioned, where there's no blinding possible, and you're going to have people recruited who are motivated to report positive outcomes from the carnivore diet. There may genuinely be positive outcomes from the type of study they're describing, but not attributable to the carnivore diet because there's all the elimination diet stuff going on, right? Hey, Tone, good to see you. And yeah, I wonder if they're going to talk about the funding status of this. We've got another month of hindsight to benefit from here, but the fundraiser itself has been stopped because GoFundMe does not recognize Mikhaila Peterson's charity. Let's see if we can find out more information about that. Fuller Foundation, GoFundMe. Oh, Fuller Research Foundation, GoFundMe. Looks like there's some Twitter commentary on it. I'm not on Twitter, so I'm not sure if I can look at that. This is the Buckminster Fuller thing again. That's unrelated. So I don't know if there's any reason. I don't think we're going to find any information about why GoFundMe stopped recognizing the organization. I've set up a non-profit, so all of these donations are tax deductible. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're going to be able to find anything more about that. Very sus, though. Very sus that GoFundMe suspended the fundraiser because they no longer support Mikhaila Peterson's non-profit.
The example.
And when that happens, they just keep the money, which I don't know. I feel like that shouldn't be the system. Presumably, the study is now not going to happen. It's unlikely that it's going to get funding from any conventional scientific funding sources. So they've done a GoFundMe. It's got to about a third of the way and been suspended. I don't know if we're going to have any more information forthcoming about why that is or what happens next. I guess Mikhaila Peterson's foundation just keeps the money, huh?
Instead of, like you were saying, it going to like a board of doctors and them coming up with a whole hypothesis and this whole thing, it's based on like an anecdote.
Like, you have to remember here, like, IRB, Institutional Review Board, is so incredibly important, especially if we're doing like human subjects research, right? We're working with people, and legitimate human research must be approved by an IRB for this to happen. So independent research.
Sounds like this is IRB approved, just to say, or at least that's what they say on their website. It did say IRB approved, right? Ethics, IRB approved, okay. Let's see what else they say about that. Yeah, approved, full board review. So it sounds like it is IRB approved, which doesn't mean that much. An IRB is an institutional review board. Their main function is to make sure that research is being done ethically. So it will be like participants have informed consent, there's proper data security measures in place, people are being paid properly and stuff like this. They're not generally speaking to the validity of the study design. It's mainly for ethics review.
Researchers on a GoFundMe aren't often attached to a university, meaning they skip that IRB approval entirely. So without the IRB, there's no one to stop a researcher from testing a dangerous approach. And granted, they have these subsets in place. They're looking at actual data that is collected from these people, right? They're looking at your health reports. We're looking at doctor's visits and notes and labs. So again, when you have that, legitimate human subjects that you're researching on.
Yeah, ethics boards are weird and extremely frustrating and like often asking the wrong questions, if you ask me. I wrote a rant about ethics boards like a couple of years ago. I'll see if I can find that at some point. But yeah, they're not generally doing what we would want them to do, frankly.
On IRB review and oversight is necessary.
Hey.
So,
hey, Sabby Coops, good to see you. Thanks for joining.
I am not sure how getting funding on a GoFundMe will impact that as well.
It has now officially been 8 years of the carnivore diet. However, I have even bigger news. I started slowly reintroducing foods without major reactions. That's the big part. It is the first time in over 8 years that I've been able to eat anything other than ruminant meat without triggering an autoimmune or psych disorder. Do you guys know what that means? One, it means this girl can't call herself a carnivore anymore. But importantly,
she's going to say it means carnivore diet cured my conditions. Don't say it. Don't say that.
More importantly, it means that not only does the diet work to put the vast majority of people into remission.
How did we know? How did we know? I've stopped doing the carnivore diet, which is proof that the carnivore diet worked. I mean, come on. Keep doing it then if it works so well for you. Keep doing it. Why have you stopped doing it?
While they're on it, but it means actual healing is possible. And I certainly needed more help than just...
Yeah, this is okay. This person's able to, well, I was about to say able to fund research, but I guess not, actually. But yeah, this is nonsense. This is pseudo... It's not even pseudoscience. It's not even pseudoscience. It's just bollocks.
Just eating meat and avoiding dietary triggers. In this video, I'm going to cover what I've done in the last 10 years, what's worked, what's reduced my sensitivities, what didn't work, what reintroduction has been like, and tips for people looking to try this. So, let's get into it.
Wow. Shabnam, I really want to hear what you have to say, but Sarah, what's your reaction?
I'm shocked because the whole thing has been carnivore, 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 carnivore. And now it's framed like, yeah, but like I'm healed from carnivore. So now I'm reintroducing things and now it's fine. But that means you're no longer a carnivore. So you're not a proponent of the carnivore diet as like a longevity diet, which is what we've been saying the whole time. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, I've heard it. So I don't know how true this is, but I've heard it said that the reason she stopped is because she had all sorts of health problems. She said she was actually only eating ruminant meat, red meat. So yeah, she's probably got fucking scurvy and all sorts of nasty shit going on.
It's not possible to live on a carnivore diet your whole life.
I wish I had a magic ball and I could see into the future of carnivores. Usually what it entails is atherosclerosis, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, a lot of other things that can be controlled by not eating heavy amounts of saturated fat for a longitudinal. I don't wish negative health impacts on anyone. And it makes me sad to hear that her father, Jordan Peterson, is going through some negative impacts. And if that has had any impact on Mikhaila and her idea to shift and start introducing new fiber-rich, plant-rich foods into her diet, that's wonderful. And oftentimes it's those anecdotal experiences when our families experience something, when we experience something that get us start to shift our behavior in ways that maybe have not been exponentially good for us for the long term. You know, and that's the question about carnivore. We talk about the longitudinal evidence, folks. Feeling good about something, removing a symptom of something is not the same thing as being healthy, right? It's not the same thing as talking about pathology when we have a disease, an issue. Again, I don't know Mikhaila's medical background. I know she talks about her IBS and all of these things that have been mitigated by eliminating her diet. But remember these short...
No. She specified that she had the arthritis, not the IBS. If there's any confusion, Mikhaila Peterson shits a normal amount. Okay? Normal amount of pooing. When she poos, it's just fine, okay? Very specific about that. She had the arthritis, not the IBD. So normal pooing from Mikhaila Peterson.
Term relief symptoms are really often masking long-term pathologies, right? You can feel clear-headed and not know that your arteries are clogging. That's why hypertension, these things are called.
Yeah, this is she's absolutely correct. And this came up in the My acting debate, I think that debate was kind of underwhelming, but I'm pleased to have had it for the motivation for all the research that I did around it. And yeah, this is exactly right. There's not really it's not like subjectively observable if you're increasing your risk of heart disease generally. You can be having atherosclerosis and not feel any different. And hey, I feel great. Subjectively, I'm doing this carnivore diet. Probably you've eliminated some things which you might have been intolerant to, and that's the main effect if you observe any short-term health benefits. But yeah, you can be increasing your risk of heart disease and then have a heart attack like that, and you're dead. And you felt great, and you had a clear head. Like, yeah, she's absolutely right.
Called the silent killer. It's taken longitudinal evidence and time for Mikhaila to now have to change her diet for a reason, because there's probably something that she sees that's not going the way that she wants, which is why we introduce a new stimulus to shift the outcome. All I'm seeing is A plus B leads to C, right? So we're seeing dad, issues, me, change behavior. They probably are related.
Yeah, I would love to know any more information about why Mikhaila Peterson stopped doing the carnivore diet. She's come and done this video and framed it as, hey, I was cured. I stopped doing it because I was cured from the carnivore diet. That really doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you keep doing it then? It's like there's a joke about a couple going on a hike and there's a very steep drop off the mountain. And they say to the guide, hey, there's a very steep drop right there. You should have a sign. So, you should have some sort of warning sign. And the guide says, well, we used to have a warning sign there, but nobody ever fell off, so we just got rid of it. Like, that's the Mikhaila Peterson logic in this case. Let's see if we can find any more information about that. Why did Mikhaila Peterson divorce her husband? Oh, damn. Okay, well, we're not doing that. Peterson quit carnivore diet. Oh, there's a Mike Vegan video about it. So should we watch that? That's kind of tempting at this point. This isn't anything that I thought I was going to be talking about on this stream, by the way, but this is quite fun so far. More from plant-based news. It looks like this is okay. This is going to be a video. This is on the vegan subreddit. Oh, I have seen this. Look, I've upvoted this. The carnivore-centric Peterson family is experiencing health issues on the polar sides of 3 generations. Is this going to be Mike the
Hey, guys.
Okay. All right. I guess this is going to be Mikhaila Peterson in December talking about this. Mikhaila Peterson reports that both her father, Jordan Peterson, and her daughter, Audrey, are sick. Mikhaila famously promoted the carnivore diet both in a TEDx talk and an Oxford Union debate. Her father has vocally embraced this diet. In the video linked above, Mikhaila reports her 7-month-old daughter almost died of a heart issue. Jesus. And Jordan is broadly unwell. If this were a vegan family, we all know how the public would respond. So at the risk of being toxic, I feel safe speculating their carnivore diet is a strong cause of their health issues. Mikhaila is likely breastfeeding high amounts of saturated fat without any fiber. And Jordan is also exclusively consuming saturated fat, growth hormones, and antibiotics through his meat. I want to be very clear, I take zero pleasure in what they're reporting. I don't wish illness on anyone, especially a 7-month-old baby. I hope as a family they at least consider the possibility the rotting flesh-only diet is behind these health issues. Yeesh. Is it? Do we want to watch this? This is a bit heavy, isn't it? Sounds like the Reddit poster is speculating about the carnivore link, but... So here she is in December 2025, talking about all sorts of health issues. It's been posted on the vegan subreddit. We're going to have to watch my vegan video, aren't we? Have people seen this already? Oh, look, here's her
Do you guys
update
know
then. Okay, here's her update 1 month ago. We're not going to watch this. So 3 months ago, reporting all kinds of health problems. And then 1 month ago, quitting the weasel diet.
Hey, it's Mike here, and today, longtime carnivore dieter Mikhaila.
I think we can draw a straight line between the two, right? Hey, nice to see you, Bretta. Take it easy. All right, let's do it. We're in for it now. Oh, that's good, Sappy Coops. If you've seen it already, you'll get to enjoy it all over again. That's the benefits of having a terrible memory, like me.
Hey, it's Mike here, and today.
I wonder if Mike's got any goss about the fundraiser. Well, probably not, because it looks like this is also a month ago. Damn, I really want to know more about this. Peterson Carnivore study fundraiser. Oh no, there's a tweet about it 2 days ago. Oh, this makes me want to make Twitter. Can I see it? Oh yes, I can. Okay, good. GoFundMe stopped my donation page for weeks for the carnivore/keto diet without notifying me, and then put a little note that strongly suggests that the whole thing is a scam and directs people to other non-profits. I mean, yeah. So where's the part where you refute that? Is this maybe in a thread that I can see? I have to fucking sign up to be able to see anything. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Well, she's acknowledged that that this is a thing. Let's see if there's anything on her Insta, hey. Oh, this is pinned. All right, I guess this went down on Twitter, if at all. B12 and all true savvy coops. Yeah, I guess so, Tone. I guess so. We'll see if there's any reply to my question on her Facebook post. That's so annoying that that's so annoying that it's on Twitter. It looks like that's all she said about it, right? Doesn't look like she's actually done anything to refute that it's a scam. See if there's anything on Facebook. I was her posts on here. That was just 2 days ago that she posted that thing on Facebook. On Twitter, sorry. So, yeah, I guess this is pretty current. We'll see. We'll see. We'll keep abreast of developments here. All right, let's watch Mike.
Today, longtime carnivore dieter Mikhaila Peterson says she is no longer on the carnivore diet and that she has reintroduced broccoli, as well as a slew of other plants. Here she is.
I've managed to reintroduce some foods without arthritic flare-up.
She's now the cosmic skeptic of carnism. True. Oh, I'm here for it, Poe. Let's hear it. You know, I love low effort activism. That is my favorite kind of activism. I'm here for it. Lay it on me.
Or mood issues. It is the first time in over 8 years that I've been able to eat anything other than ruminant meat without triggering an autoimmune or psych disorder. It means this girl can't call herself a carnivore anymore.
I am very surprised by this, not by her quitting a carnivore diet, but by how so few people are attacking her for all the added harvest deaths that she's contributing to. Wait, they don't actually care? That's just to bash vegans? Anyway, she still claims though that her lion diet, her version of the diet, is still great, and it's the only way that she was able to reintroduce foods. So still buy her book.
Now this has always been my theory, which is all over my website, liondiet.com. Heal the gut, add foods back in, easy peasy.
First of all, in case you didn't notice, yes, Mikhaila now has a new ethnicity since my last video on her. So yeah, she claims that after nearly 8 years on her carnivore diet, which has been largely just beef, salt, and a little bit of alcohol, which we'll talk about, she says that she can now reintroduce foods without a reaction. But when it comes to the research on her main health issue, which was rheumatoid...
Wait, why she was drinking during this phase as well? Oh, well, okay. Picture of health. Only having red meat and then fucking beer. To be fair, I know people with that diet. Oh yeah, that sounds based, Poe. That sounds based. This is elephant posting, right? That Ask Yourself talks about. Or pointing out the hypocrisy when people are upset about other sorts of animal abuse. The Hassan dog thing was a good one. But yeah, using ChatGPT to get customized comment reply, I think that's a nice touch as well.
Arthritis, as well as our leading killing disease, the research is not in her favor. Anyway, let's go. The vegan diet has been bashed because people have quit in the past, but I will say that this fits right into a slew of people quitting a carnivore diet, perhaps starting with one of the higher profile ones, Paul Saladino, saying his testosterone crashed on it, among other things. Then we also have YouTuber Lily Kane, who was strongly craving broccoli, said she was having bad blood work, and also that a lot of these carnivore influencers were lying about how pure their diet was, adding plant-based spices, etc. And it's really interesting for me to look at the difference in backlash between ex-vegan and ex-carnivore videos. Of course, veganism is an ethical stance, so when people quit, a lot of their audience is like, hey, you said you wanted to cause less harm to animals, what's going on here? But for a carnivore diet, it's interesting that we never see things like, you promise to harm as many animals as possible on your carnivore diet, how dare you quit? Unsub. Her comments are overwhelmingly supporting her choice to include some plants here and there. I mean, you'd think you'd have at least one or two oxalate warriors criticizing her. Oh wait, yeah, user oxalate warrior says plants are trying to kill us. No need to add toxic plants back in. But still, you gotta dig for that stuff. I control F'd oxalates to just see if there was anything at all.
Oxalate warrior. Man, some people really fucking sold the farm on this, eh? Damn, it's so gutting for these people when they come into contact with reality, isn't it? If you've built your whole identity around being an oxalate warrior and a massive supporter of the carnivore diet, it's so gutting for people. I mean, I guess this explains some of the Matt Acton thing. I'm kind of confused why people are motivated to defend and advocate for a carnivore diet. I can understand why people are motivated to advocate for a vegan diet. It's obvious, right? There's a strong moral imperative to do that. And I can understand in some cases that could lead people to overextend on certain claims or want to believe, like strongly want to believe in evidence in favor of the vegan diet, even when the evidence is not super strong for some specific things. again, just to reiterate, right, the strongest health evidence we have suggests that a plant-based diet is going to cut your risk of chronic diseases and overall mortality. But it confuses me, like, why... I'm debating this with my Acton guy in the comments after our debate on stream, and I just can't really understand his psychology. Like, we're talking about the seed oils thing, like, he really has to believe that seed oils are bad for you. I'm like, why? Just let it go. They're just not. Just let it go. It's not even important for, like... It's not even important for you having a carnivore diet, right? We're not talking about carnivore diet being harmful to your health in this case. We're talking about seed oils, which is completely aside from whether you want to be a carnivore or not. Like, why are you so motivated to believe that seed oils are bad for you? But the thing is, it goes along in this whole packaged identity around this set of carnivore beliefs. And now you have to defend to the death the claim that seed oils are bad for you. Like, just fucking let it go, bro. No, I guess I saw the first half of your message, Poe. It does seem like I got one. Yeah, the second half's the important one, hey? True, Tone. Yeah, anyone seen the Louis Theroux Manosphere documentary on Netflix? I thought that was really good, and yeah, a lot of the carnivore stuff. I don't think they talked about carnivore at all in that documentary, but it's exactly the same brand of, like, insecure teenage boy fan base. This is who this content is for. The Manosphere stuff and the carnivore stuff. There's a lot of crossover. But it's sad when you see, like, fully grown men embracing it, isn't it? I don't know, you just think, grow up.
I guess I'm just ranting to say that quitting a vegan diet and quitting a carnivore diet are very different things, because one is baked into an ethical stance and the other one is largely like any other dietary attempt. She's doing it as an elimination diet. Now, other people are doing it for health, like you might do a 30-day juice fast or something. But then there is also a political aspect to the carnivore diet, a certain way that sways. And for certain insecure men, dare I say, an aspect of gender-affirming care, which unfortunately, in cases like Paul Saladino, backfired with his lower testosterone. Gotta be manly. Anyway, we can talk about Mikhaila's story a little bit here, and I have talked about it in the past, and how it...
Gender-affirming, yes, that's the term.
Let's just say has some inconsistencies here or there. So lightning fast background, she says that as a child she had idiopathic juvenile...
Yeah, send on Discord, Poe. I'll look at that now.
Arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, as a child with no explanation, and that after years and years of suffering with it severely, she then went on her carnivore diet and was able to get rid of a bunch of her symptoms. Of course, it is anecdotal. People get details wrong, but there are some things where I'm like, really, does that actually add up? Like saying her all beef and salt diet fixed some health issue or mental issue that then came back also on her all beef and salt diet. Or adding in alcohol in the form of vodka, which she even mentioned in her video here, saying that she's had people try to discredit her for this.
I was reacting to shampoo. I was reacting to everything. However, the first thing I did introduce was vodka. Now, I know that's not a health food in the least, and I feel like people discredit me because who is on a diet of meat and occasional vodka? But that's how you know I'm telling the truth about everything I'm saying here.
Well, yeah, your diet is almost entirely consisting of carcinogens, red meat, which is a class 2A carcinogen according to the WHO, and alcohol, which is a class 1A liver carcinogen. BSV diet, anyone? Beef salt vodka diet? She also makes some biologically implausible claims, like how eating some olives would lead to her to have weeks of symptoms, which seems like a very small amount of food.
Around then, I tried organic olives. I tried to reintroduce olives and had a huge arthritic flare-up, huge depressive flare-up.
And we got to talk about biological plausibility here, in which every single molecule of those olives would be gone way before she stopped having those symptoms. You know me, I had to look at the research like this study on how long it takes for food to fully make it through your system. People who eat 30 grams of...
Nice, Poe. I just saw your message. Okay, so yeah, I do think that's a good idea, and I appreciate you sending them my way. So Poe said, I copy comments from YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, where people are upset about animal abuse, paste them into ChatGPT, and have it generate a personal reply that points them to either ... your channel, thank you very much, or a relevant charity, depending on the comment. Nice. The idea is just to help people who already care find something useful to check out or support. Do you think that's a good idea or not? Yeah, I think that is a good idea. I think that is a good idea. That is, yeah, you're filtering for people who have already demonstrated that they care to some extent about animals, and encouraging them to broaden that care and do something for animals, which I appreciate. There was some sort of Twitter page that would retweet, it would detect and retweet, I guess, people who said that they're interested in going vegan, or that they want to go vegan, or something like that. And the idea was that you could then like reach out to them and encourage them, or to offer them help, or point them towards resources, or whatever it may be. I don't know if I'd be able to find it now. Tool that identifies tweets of people saying they want to go vegan. Now this is like not quite what you had mentioned, because it's like, oh, this must be it. 5 minutes, 5 vegans. Oh, okay. That must be it. Let's see if we can find it without search. 5 minutes, 5 vegans. .org. Yeah, and I guess this is a pretty recent feed, so this is from a couple of days ago. Okay, this might be a false positive. Becoming vegetarian was the best thing I ever did for myself. I started eating way cleaner, cut off fast food entirely. I feel so much better physically and mentally. My skin is so much clearer. I want to go vegan so bad, but I can't until I move out, only 2 years. So this is tweeted by someone 2 days ago. And this 5 minutes, 5vegans.org feed will identify these kind of tweets for you. Oh, based, Perry. That's how you know you're killing it. Twitter actually had me solve a captcha and say my account's reach has been... Oh, wait, fuck. Okay, I misread that. Okay, I misread that. I thought you said limit has been reached. But reach has been limited is not good. Where the platforms think I'm a bot. Yeah, okay. Interesting. And is that because you're doing too much? You're literally too active as an activist, and they've shut you down. No human could do this much activism. Must be a bot. Limit has been yeah. We don't do the Drake meme anymore. Right, since the accusations, do the Marie Kondo Sparks Joy meme. This one sparks joy. This one does not spark joy. This is limit has been reached. Reach has been limited. Yeah, that's not great. Gonna keep doing it until they shut my account down. Yes, Bo. Fucking A. I love it! I love that there's people in the audience who are so obsessed with doing activism. It's so fucking cool. Honestly, I like we need more people to have that level of obsession. Hey Pia, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Hey AQ. Chat FTA from Vegan FTA was a responder tool. Ah, nice. Chat FTA. So this is a similar thing. Oh, okay. Tired of dealing with anti-vegan comments online. Chat FTA provides clear fact-based answers to common criticisms. Fucking A, alright. That's awesome. The meatheads definitely have something like this. The meat industry has their own version of this that they have trotted out for pro-meat comments. Oh, look at this. You can do different tone, length. This is great. Paste in the comment you want to reply to. Oh, this is fantastic. What have we got here? Have we got sarcastic or rude or something? That's what I want. Humorous. Sarcastic. There we go. That's what I want. Enjoy your B12 deficiency, lol. Give me a short, sarcastic reply. Oh, I'm sure you'll be surprised to learn that most animals raised for food actually get their B12 from supplements too. So I guess we're all just living by the same rules of fortification. Cheers to that. That's a pretty good response. That's a pretty good response. And it even gives me a source here for the carnismdebunked.com for health and nutrition. What about B12? Well, there you go. That's pretty good. I like that. Thank you for sharing. I hadn't heard of that resource before, but that's decent. Chat FTA. I'll put that link in chat. Oh, it was dead the other day? Yeah, it looks like it's back. We've got a bad version, then we still see the plants feel pain. Alright, let's try that. I hope you know the plants feel pain. And you vegans cause immense plant suffering. Should try a different tone this time. 5-year-old. Let's do 5-year-old. We'll do a medium one this time. Oh look, it's already found the source here. Sensing media to plants feel pain. Actually, plants don't feel pain the way animals do. They don't have brains or the special pain sensors that animals have. Yeah, this is the... Oh, I guess it's explained like I'm 5. It's like I'm talking to a 5-year-old. Patronizing, you might call it. While they can respond to their surroundings, it's really different from feeling pain like we do. So when we choose to eat plants instead of animals, it's about helping our furry friends who can suffer and feel pain. Well, that's very sweet. You know, I just saw my 3-year-old niece today. I guess there's a big difference between 3 and 5. They've grown a lot that age. But yeah, this is pitched to that kind of level. So that's pretty based. All right, nice. I like it. Chat FTA, and then what was the other one? 5 minutes, 5 vegans. Where was that one? Oh, here it is. So yeah, this is a feed of people saying that they're interested in going vegan. This is a weird comment. That's not correct. This is a person who's already a vegan, which they make a very based and true comment. I might be a vegan role. Interesting. I want to go vegan so badly, but man, the food options are atrocious. Alright, so this is like a bunch of... I want to be a vegan. Look at that, that's just route 1. I want to be a vegan so bad, but I still buy eggs, and that makes me so sad. Just don't buy the eggs then. I don't know. Some of these I'm like, I don't know how I can help you, bro. I don't like. But, you know, hey, we looked at that stages of change model. These are people in the contemplation stage, I guess you would say, or maybe even the preparation stage. Like this is a feed of people on Twitter saying they want to go vegan. So this should be a really good resource for getting people in that stage. And yeah, these are the people who need a bit of help, motivation. They don't necessarily need persuading, right? That's the key thing. Maybe good candidates for the food tea app, which you can play to reduce your cravings for meat. These are all good good resources to know about, hey. Yeah, look, this is the food tea app. Put that link in chat as well. This is to hack your brain and reduce your cravings for unhealthy foods. We've also got Chat FTA to respond to anti-vegan comments. And 5 minutes, 5 vegans for a feed of people who say on Twitter that they want to go vegan. So yeah, pretty based resources. We should start... I'm sure that there is already some sort of hub that links to all of these different resources.
More fiber are going to be around 3 days max, while low fiber people, of course, like the carnivore diet, can be up to 5.5 days. So that is longer. Ironically, her diet would make her more susceptible to food reactions in this sense, but still not weeks. And also how that mirrors her father, Jordan Peterson's strange food reactions as well. For example, him saying he had a little bit of apple cider, was then overwhelmed by an impending sense of doom, and then didn't sleep for 25 days.
Do it.
Apple cider. Like, what was it doing?
Sulfites in it.
What was it doing to you?
Oh, it produced an overwhelming sense of impending doom. And I...
All right. That's, I don't know what to say about that. I feel like if I was a doctor and someone came and said that to me, I would not be able to stifle my laughter. Are you saying that you got pissed and sad, Dr. Peterson? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying you binge drank cider and then cried? That sounds like that's what you're saying. They are good at branding though, aren't they? I'm not depressed from drinking. I've had an overwhelming sense of impending doom. Well, that's pretty good branding. How's your daughter's carnivore diet going? It's not carnivore diet, actually. It's a lion diet. Alright, fucking get out of there.
It's seriously been overwhelming. Like, there's no way I could have lived like that if that would have lasted for... See, Mikhaila knew by that point that it would probably only last a month, and I was like...
A month?
Yeah.
From fucking cider?
Oh, I didn't sleep that month. I didn't sleep for 25 days. I didn't sleep
What?
at all.
Sleeps at night.
I didn't sleep at all for 25 days.
How is that possible? That
I'll
should
tell
kill
you how it's...
Like, that's a tall tale. And then there's another aspect which I don't
The lion diet, true tone. Also known as the weasel diet.
actually view as her fault, and that is sort of flip-flopping about the cause being dietary or from mold exposure, which she does talk about in that video as well.
I got diagnosed with chronic inflammatory response syndrome, CIRS, and started treatment for that. And I've gone into details. There's a bunch of videos up about that. Started treatment for that, and more importantly, moved out of that house and strictly avoided mold. And I still strictly avoid mold.
In particular, she says she's dealing with chronic inflammatory response syndrome.
I feel like avoiding mold is pretty... That's pretty much something that you should be doing, right? Yeah, before I did this carnivore diet, I was actively embracing mold. I was trying to dampen my room to make it as moldy as possible. Hot take, guys. Mold is bad for you. I mean, come on.
Which from this study is a multi-system illness acquired following respiratory exposure to water-damaged buildings. So in other words, mold. Though I should mention this was authored by people from, say, the Holistic Resonance Center and Recover from Mold. A little bit of a conflict there. And this condition, SIRS, is not officially considered a medical diagnosis from the CDC or Mayo Clinic or anything like that, with doctors warning that it could delay diagnosis of treatable conditions. And I want to get into some science here, but I...
That's kind of a weird comment to bring up. Like, surely Mike's not going to contend that mold's not bad for you. Like, are we talking about the same thing here? Mold, like moldy bread. Yeah, don't have mold. I mean,
I will say after that, I'm going to speculate in a very semi-scientific way because we don't have all the information as to what I think could have actually caused her health issues and why they could have gone into remission and why now she can eat plant foods. Just a theory. But yeah, because Mikhaila's story is anecdotal, we don't have studies, we can't prove her right or wrong. We can talk about it all day if we want to, but it's more important to just mention that when it comes to her telling people with rheumatoid arthritis to eat her diet, is that backed by science or is that risky? And I'm gonna go ahead and say that her claim that meat cures rheumatoid arthritis is diametrically opposed to the actual research. And I like to use the tool consensus every once in a while, which aggregates a bunch of research and of course always double check that research. But we can even try to push it in the way of, does red meat lower the risk of rheumatoid arthritis? And the results are actually abysmal. 13 studies, including a meta-analysis against her position.
So I've only seen this tool before on a previous Mike the Vegan video, I guess. But this looks pretty based. Consensus. Nice. Alright, okay. Is mold bad for you? Yeah, 79% yes. 7% no. And 14% possibly. Yes, living with indoor mold can harm your health, especially in damp, poorly ventilated spaces and for vulnerable people. I'm interested in the no one. Mold and human health, a reality check. This is like the study funded by Big Mold, is it? Alright, well, pretty recurring yes on that. But okay, no, higher meat, especially red meat, beef intake is generally linked to higher, not lower, rheumatoid arthritis risk. Okay. I didn't know this. I've actually never really looked at this particular association. So that's interesting. This is one of the things that she's going to try and look at in her randomized clinical study, if that ever goes ahead. If she hasn't just taken the money and run for the hills. They're going to test the effects on rheumatoid arthritis. See, I would have thought, I was guessing that is like one of the conditions where you do see some benefits from having meat in the diet, and that they'd kind of cherry-picked that and IBD as to be the outcome causes, or to be the outcomes for the study. And then they've kind of designed it so that they're going to find positive results. But by the looks of this, there's a good chance that if the study does ever go ahead, they are not going to find that. They may find that it makes it worse. All right, that's interesting.
Position and 0 in favor of it. So even if you grant that everything that she says about eating meat only and how plants cause her rheumatoid arthritis is true, for the vast majority of people, vast majority of people, that would be
big mycelium true too.
Bad advice. And remember, she has been eating exclusively beef or other ruminant meat. And we have, from this Mendelian randomized study that looked at NHANES data, high beef consumption was associated with 3 times the odds of rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh, that's interesting, Sabby Coops. Sabby Coops in the chat says the longest scientifically documented period a human stayed awake is 11 days and 25 minutes. Well, Jordan Peterson did more than twice that. Allegedly. That's mental. That's mental. I mean, yeah, that sounds to me like bollocks on the face of it.
Arthritis. This is important because Mendelian randomization can help determine.
Wait, sorry, I completely blanked on what he's saying in the video now. Beef intake and risk of rheumatoid arthritis. All right.
That looked at NHANES data. High beef consumption was associated with 3 times the odds of rheumatoid arthritis.
Wow. Okay, so it's not close. This is like a decently large effect size. Okay, that's worth knowing. So I wonder what's going to happen if they ever get their clinical study funded then, because I could kind of believe that they could observe short-term benefits in terms of IBD. And again, I think that's mostly just because it's going to be an elimination diet. You're going to, by default, cut out stuff that you're intolerant to if you are doing such an extreme elimination diet like that. And I think it's not as important as other health outcomes in the grand scheme of things. But at least that one will presumably show a positive effect. But it sounds like the rheumatoid arthritis one is actually just going to show a negative effect. I wonder what they'll do with that then. That's not going to make Mikhaila Peterson very popular amongst their carnivore fan base.
This is important because Mendelian randomization can help determine causation, unlike other epidemiological studies, because they're able to isolate genetic variables in a similar fashion to randomized trials. And so they even conclude, quote, this study indicated that there is suggestive evidence to support the causal effect of beef intake on the risk of rheumatoid arthritis. Of course, they say more studies are needed. They always are. But let me flip this for carb-fearing Americans in a way that I think will make sense. Imagine you have migraines, for example, but for whatever reason, you personally, when you eat candy, they go away. You then go, oh my gosh, this is the solution. I'm going to write a book on my specific special candy diet because candy has helped me. When all of the research out there is saying that no, candy is actually bad, not just for migraines, but other health issues. That is the case with her diet. In addition, we also have, of course, the increase in LDL or bad cholesterol you'll see with eating a high meat diet. We see it over and over again on a carnivore diet. And that is also from Mendelian randomized controlled trials, causally linked to atherosclerosis.
Okay, yeah, this is the atherosclerosis, the heart disease risk. Yeah, true, Tone. He definitely sounds like somebody who has not slept for 25 days.
Heart disease, our number one killer, so the most dangerous thing to all of us, that risk increases by eating the way she's telling you to. And I just thought it would be interesting to flip the question on consensus and ask, hey, is a plant-based diet associated with lower rheumatoid arthritis? For which the results are 89% saying either yes or possibly yes, with just one small pilot study finding no difference. And then, of course,
oh, this is for plant-based diet. Okay, interesting.
yes or possibly yes, with just one small pilot study finding no difference. And then, of course, I have an entire video going through the other potential risks of a carnivore diet, including the deficiency or lack of nutrient risks.
This is the problem. If it wasn't obvious, by the way, I think most people in the chat are going to understand what's going on here. But this is why anecdotal evidence is bad, and you can't rely on it, right? Mikhaila Peterson is very convinced that she has had this experience. She had adopted the carnivore diet, and now this has cured her rheumatoid arthritis to the extent that she's so well that she's able to stop doing it, right? Now, those things could have happened at the same time just by coincidence, or some other reason, like something else that's changed in her life, right? That's coincided with adopting a carnivore diet and coincided with a relief in her rheumatoid arthritis. There could just be complete coincidence. There could be some other thing that's changed at the same time. There could be any number of reasons why that's happened. It should be obvious that you can't do an experiment with a sample size of 1 and make any conclusions about it. Like, even as a kid, I always thought, like, how do people ever realize that they're allergic to stuff? Because there's so many other factors. It's never, like, possible to isolate the one particular thing. Like, I mean, clearly people do that, and people do have legitimate allergies, and people do realize that and so on, right? But that always, even as a kid, I was always like, how does anyone ever, like, run of all the possible diets that they could be eating, right? But yeah, this is why it's so important to appeal to properly conducted studies of larger than one sample size, because when you look at the broader evidence, again, Mikhaila Peterson's one case, she claims that going to a carnivore diet coincided with the relief of her rheumatoid arthritis symptoms. But actually, when you look at the broader scientific evidence, it seems that in general, higher meat consumption is associated with worse risk, and causally associated as well from the Mendelian randomization trials with increased risk of rheumatoid arthritis. So there could be one case where somebody adopted a carnivore diet and then also had relief in their rheumatoid arthritis. That could happen, but there's not evidence of a broader trend or a causal link. So yeah, again, I think most people watching are going to like understand that, but yeah, it bears saying.
And she even mentions having low folate.
Folate was also low, which could easily be part of only eating meat. I wasn't even eating organs. So I'd keep an eye, anyone who's doing this, I would keep an eye on folate specifically, but I'd keep an eye on all your vitamins, especially because sick people's vitamins are always kind of wonky.
Maybe that means she had a folate deficiency. I'm not sure. She said the word low, which could be low normal, but still there's a nutrient gap, an insane nutrient gap, which of course she supplements for. You know, 1 or 2 supplements, fine. You know, vegans have to take B12. We can just quickly see what 2 pounds of beef lacks in terms of minerals, vitamins, and other nutrients. It is not looking good. And I think that especially spits in the face of her idea that this is an elimination diet where you can eat just one food and that meets all of your nutritional needs. It does not. And we've seen that over and over again in people getting vitamin C deficiencies, as we saw with one doctor on YouTube who was transparent about his numbers.
I had issues with vitamin C deficiency. Well, I wanted to check them and they were 12. Now 12 is actually very low.
But I should take the win and credit her for actually viewing eating plants again as a good thing. A lot of people aren't doing that. So that's a major win. And we have to ask, what is she actually eating now? What has she been able to introduce? And she says this.
More of the fun stuff, eating plants and other foods after 8 years. In the last 2 months, I have tried arugula, avocado, seaweed, broccoli, broccolini, coconut, mango, vinegar, ginger, Swiss chard, bok choy, berries, cucumber, sweet potato, caviar, salmon, and chicken.
I'm just happy that she admits that eating plants is fun stuff, not the food of Satan, which a lot of other carnivores view it as. It's also wild to me that she was even restricting other meats like chicken. Yeah, she specified ruminant almost said ruminant arthritis instead of ruminant meat only. And of course, why did the diet that she's been eating for almost 8 years and pushing have to be the highest environmental footprint food? That ruminant meat, which beats out every other type of protein when something like nuts is actually carbon negative on average, which is cool. But yeah, you can probably tell she's not eating some flexitarian low meat diet or even some standard American.
What? That's weird. I've never heard of that. Many nut producers are carbon negative, even accounting for other emissions in transport. This is because today tree nuts are expanded as cropland. Wow, that's nuts. No pun intended. Cool, okay. Nuts are, looks like on average, carbon negative. Fair play. Never knew that.
I tell she's not eating some flexitarian low meat diet or even some standard American type diet in terms of the amount of meat. No, she is still eating virtually all meat and just adding in little foods here and there. Here she says she's 95% animal based.
And I'm sticking to a ketogenic diet because I still seem to feel my best staying in ketosis. So that limits the mango, coconut, and sweet potato. Chicken makes me groggy, but fish seems fine. Cooked arugula seems totally fine. I am eating so much arugula. So now I can say my diet consists really of 95% beef, some ginger, I've always loved ginger. And pan-fried arugula and tallow. I'm back to meat and greens.
I've said it and I'll say it again. Fruits and vegetables lower all-cause mortality risk. That's of course not the risk of dying at all. That's all 100% for us, although some are trying to change that. I'm talking about the risk of dying over the course of any given study. People seem to be a little bit unclear on that one. Now let's get into my theory, because we again have that literature showing that plant-based foods are generally positive and red meat is generally negative.
I'm not gonna lie, I did have to ask ChatGPT about that one. When I was first reading this research, I was like, hang on a minute. Reduce the risk of mortality. Yeah, okay. It's talking about during a given period of time, right? Yes, as Mike says, the risk of overall mortality in the long term remains at 100%.
For rheumatoid arthritis risk, but she's claiming that it put hers into remission. What the heck is going on here? What do I think? And this is where my theory might be even slightly offensive, hopefully not too dismissive though, and that has to do with how perhaps she initially got this rheumatoid arthritis from some immune cross-reactivity with a virus, for example, Epstein-Barr or parvovirus B19, which can both be connected to the onset of this. You can have some molecular mimicry issues where your body thinks that your own cells, in this case, your joint cells, are those foreign cells, makes antibodies to then attack those. We see that with dairy proteins and various autoimmune diseases as well. And she had this really bad as a child. I think she had to get joint replacements. That's obviously traumatic. And then with that level of trauma, you could potentially have a pretty strong psychosomatic connection. This is where I'm not trying to say it's all in her head. In fact, I'm trying to say it's all in her body, because the body keeps the score. Bessel van der Kolk, shout out. Of course, he has a book about how trauma is stored in the body, and there's pretty strong case for this. But in terms of Mikhaila's case, I think it's possible that she then associated certain foods with purity or as a potential threat for whatever reason, suggestibility from influencers or whatever was going on at the time. And so she viewed red meat as the
True tone. Arugula, come on.
ultimate sign of dietary purity, eliminating on her elimination diet any threat when plant foods were a threat. And of course, we know that if you put something in your body that you view as a threat, you can even have an immune response. So in this case, there might be nothing actually physically in there. You know, it wasn't some phytochemical in olives that was leading to weeks-long reactions. It was that she told her body that she did something that would harm her, and that led to perhaps an immune response. And then that systemic immune...
Yeah, that's super plausible. It's like placebo effect, basically, is what he's describing, right? If you are convinced that, or like, not even consciously convinced, like, people have this, this shows a bit about my adolescent years, perhaps, or, well, yeah, late adolescence, I guess you could say. People have this when they throw up from drinking a certain mixer. Anyone sympathize with this kind of experience? I've known people who are like, oh, I can't drink orange juice anymore because I threw up one time from drinking vodka and orange. It's not that they necessarily even consciously believe that orange juice makes me throw up, but it's like a subconscious just association. It reminds you of trauma from an epic night out, I guess.
Immune response that she had could actually lead to the creation of more of those same antibodies that attacked her joints to start with. And that is where it could potentially be complicated, in that either over time, those antibodies have faded, which would be really lucky because that doesn't happen in things like type 1 diabetes. Yeah, from this fascinating study, about 1 in 8 people who were in remission for rheumatoid arthritis had their main disease antibodies fade. So very possible. But it's also possible that internally she had a change. For whatever reason, she was able to change her relationship with plant-based foods enough that she could start eating them again without having that immune response. How could this even be possible? Do we have anything that could support this? Well, we have interesting case studies, at least. That's not ultimate proof, it's low quality of evidence. But for example, we've had people that have multiple personalities in which eating a food on one personality will lead to hives, more severe reaction, and then another personality will have little to no reaction, which is mind-boggling. But
wow, that's mental. That's again mental. Again, no pun intended. That is mental. Okay, so they have an allergic reaction in one personality, but not in another. Yeah, so this is psychosomatic. This is what he's describing. That's so cool. That's so interesting. I know with stuff like hypnosis basically works, but only if you think that it works. If you believe, it's like the tooth fairy, right? You have to believe. If you believe that hypnosis works, then it works. And if you don't, then it doesn't. There are some things like this where it is, there's literally like physical manifestations of impacts which are like entirely mediated through the psychological process. So yeah, this is it's like related to placebo effects, like psychosomatic it's called. That's a really cool one. The multiple personalities having different allergic reactions. That's really cool.
But that's a situation where, based on their internal mental state, they are able to either trigger or not trigger a mast cell response to a food that they're eating. Maybe her new ethnicity acts as a new personality that can tolerate plant foods. I'm just joking. Additionally, a study found that people who suffered from disassociation, which is a common trauma response, have about 10 times the likelihood of reporting false drug allergic reactions, really an allergic reaction to placebo when they were told they were being exposed to the drug. Interesting stuff. And then we also have how people through brain retraining have at least reported no longer becoming even anaphylactically allergic to foods. I think this is a don't try at home situation. Warning, major warning across the whole screen here. But people who go, okay, I have a reaction to peanut butter, I'm gonna slowly change my relationship with that. There are various types of programs, one in which you essentially take a day, think about peanut butter, do calming exercises. It's more than that, but that's the gist of it. And then the next day you touch the outer jar of the peanut butter, and then over time you go to a tiny, tiny lick and more and more and more and train your system to not respond. Obviously it's not going to work for everyone every time, but
true, Pierre. It's true if you believe it's true.
We've seen that happen. And to further show my support for this theory, I do believe that there are people who are even vegan who are traumatized, maybe even from the animal agriculture industry, who might have physical reactions to being told that they're eating animal foods that aren't actually from the ingredients in there. Let's say they're accidentally served dairy, or told that they were accidentally served dairy, and they might start to feel something in their throat. And then maybe someone would be like, hey, that was actually soy milk, my bad, I double mixed up, and then they'd be fine again. That's also a theory, but I think it stands both ways. Somebody who's traumatized could have a negative reaction to any stimuli that they view as negative. But I should close out that topic with...
Yeah, that seems super plausible. Big green flag for... I've never really watched Mike the Vegan before streaming, to be honest. But big green flag for this guy. He seems to like over caveat things which I think are totally plausible and probably accurate. It's like, well, that's just a theory. That's not... I'm not right. So that's a good green flag, like epistemically humble, I guess you would say is the term. Gives you confidence they're not overextending on other claims.
With saying, we really need research on this. I'm putting it out as a speculative theory. I don't think this can be proven either way, but it's what I thought and I wanted to share it. So next we can get on to how she's actually crowdfunding another study, another keto meat-based study. And we saw what happened last time with that. Absolutely trash results. This
I have not seen this. Longitudinal data from the keto CTA study. Plaque predicts plaque. ApoB does not. Okay.
This is a little bit different, but we saw that keto
didn't give a numerical value for the pooled NCPV change. If SPIRE results show that CVD risk among LMHRs is heterogeneous and thus pooled summary isn't a good idea, you must have... All right, this is way too much context needed. I don't understand this on its own.
CTA study where they hid the massively dangerous rate of plaque burden that was happening over a year in these keto people with high LDL or bad cholesterol. She's doing something similar. She's saying, hey, I'm doing a study on rheumatoid arthritis, actually. Here she is.
I've launched the world's largest keto and carnivore study on the Lion Diet and keto diet and its impact on rheumatoid arthritis and IBD. The study is run by a medical team separate from me, but I'm trying to collect funding. I've linked the GoFundMe below.
So yeah, she's trying to raise about...
When you say separate from me, I mean, only in the sense that you are not the same person, right? You are funding the study, or trying to, and looks like that's not going too well. And also, they are on the team page of your foundation's website. So, specifying that the medical team is separate from me is a strange thing to put in there. That seems only true insofar as they are not they are not her. They are separate humans. Yes, but that's about as far as that claim can go.
About $300,000 through a GoFundMe to
LMHR, lead mass hyperresponders. Okay, thanks, Dan. I got you.
Make this study, which she says she's going to have researchers that are independent from her. I mean, I have questions. If it shows something negative, is it still going to be published? Are these researchers still incentivized in any way to please you, maybe for future research? And can we please have an elimination diet that is not a carnivore diet to compare to? I know that would probably make it more expensive, but that...
Well, yeah, yes is the answer, right? They are ostensibly on the payroll of Mikhaila Peterson's foundation. So yeah, I don't. They're not independent from her in any meaningful way, as far as we can tell.
That's what would be ideal. But my main wish for the study is that it maintains a level of honesty and integrity as it is made and released, etc. Anyway, in the end, she's telling people that the best diet for rheumatoid arthritis is to go on an all-meat diet. Maybe some alcohol there. But that unfortunately is very far from what the research shows is best for people in general. Again, Mendelian randomized trial finding that beef was associated with 3 times the odds of rheumatoid arthritis. Like, that is insane. That's a high factor of risk. So yeah, regardless of her personal story, even if we grant to her that yes, plants are directly the cause of her rheumatoid arthritis and cause her inflammation in some unique way, it is still not applied to like probably 99.99999% of the population. Like, I'm gonna throw that number out there. Additionally, and even a larger worry because it's our #1 killer, people on the carnivore diet get high LDL or bad cholesterol. Again, causally linked to atherosclerosis. That #1 killer, that is the important thing that we need to try and stop. I get it. There are people who are very desperate to improve their autoimmune conditions, but just please be careful about whose advice you follow. All right, that's it for another high-profile carnivore dieter who's made their living off selling their brand of the carnivore diet, quitting a carnivore diet. Again, reaching for the ultimate goal of eating plants. Like, I think as a vegan, I am living that goal of eating all the plants possible. It makes me very happy to say that as somebody who is a vegan on a vegan diet, it is not my goal to eventually be able to eat dead animals again. So this is a completely different scenario to the ex-vegan stories that we see, etc. And let me know what you think about all of this down below. There's a ton of points. That was like a 45-minute video she had. A ton of points that I was not able to cover. So feel free to throw those down there. And of course, like, subscribe, all that good stuff massively helps out the channel and is free to you, which is great. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.
Well, there you go. Based review from Mike the Vegan. Yeah, I mean, the central thing of like carnivore diet worked so well that I stopped doing it. I guess that makes sense if you're a Mikhaila Peterson fan. But not for sensible people. Again, why would you not keep doing it if you're finding it to be so beneficial? Mental. Still a little bit of Fast Action Network showing. We'll just do a quick one on here. to keep the streak alive. We've just got a handful of tasks to do. This is action.thehumaneleague.org. If you didn't know, get to know. Mike Vegan's great channel, yeah, agreed. I have to. Does he ever talk to other vegans? I'd be nice to talk to him. I didn't realize how big his channel is, actually. I have to say, he's on similar sub count to Earthling Ed. He's done very well. He's done very well. He has good videos, I gotta say. It's the high IQ vegan brigade again. Contact form for Unilever, do that on the other tab. Lovely. YouTube comment, yes please.
Bonjour Thierry, alors les conditions sont...
1.9 million views. There's 2 million people coming here to watch a mayonnaise advert, is it? Alright. Email Unilever Indonesia. No one's going to bring up my Outlook. Lovely. Google review. Love a Google review one. This really seems to hurt companies when you give them a bad Google review. Cambria Hotel, Austin Airport. Fuck them. Oh, I got 4.3 stars at the moment. Wonder how much we can tank this. Reviews. Right, review. Boo. Oh, I got 14 points on Google Maps, I guess, as well. Racking them up, lads. One more for Unilever. And then we'll kick on, we'll do some news. Geez, I spent 2 hours doing Mikhaila Peterson content in the end. That was not part of the plan for today's stream. I watched that plant-based news video at the start and I got dragged into the fundraiser and everything. Jeez, alright. Alright, let's do these two. We got 2 contact forms and then we'll do some news. Oh, goodness me. Alright, I've messed this up. Wait, I did this already. Done. Okay. Alright, one more contact form, and then we'll kick on. Just one more contact form, I swear. Me addicted to Fast Action Network. Just one more! They do sometimes reply to these emails, which is kind of... I don't know, I find that kind of surprising, I guess. But they do sometimes bow to the demands and change their policies, as we saw from Ahold Delhaize. So, maybe I shouldn't be surprised about that. Just one more email, I swear. Alright, good. Let's go. 493 with a 12-week streak. Mogging on Fast Action Network. What am I going to do for the big 500? We'll do a special stream. Special stream for 500 points on Fast Action Network. Yes, please. Lamest carnivorous animal. The weasel diet. Stay losing the weasel diet. Gorilla diet. Stay winning. 5 minutes, 5 vegans. Stay winning. Chat FDA. Stay winning. Food tea. Stay winning. Consensus apps. Stay winning as well. I'll remember that one. Right. What else we got here? Cultivated meat could land on UK plates in 2027, suggests government food regulator. Let's go. Brits could be eating cultivated meat as soon as next year, with the Food Standards Agency hoping to approve 2 proteins by early 2027 as it releases an outlook on future food innovations. Cultivated meat has never been closer to British dinner tables. Let's go! Alright, let's go. The UK's Food Standards Agency has overhauled its regulatory framework for these proteins after years of complaints over its protracted approval process, which was tied to the EU's novel food system even after Brexit. The regulator is currently evaluating 4 cultivated meat applications from Aleph Farms, Ivy Farm Technologies, Vital Meat and Gourmet, both owned by Perima, with the latter being the furthest along in the process. According to The Times, the FSA is hoping to complete safety evaluations for cultivated meat by February 2027, which will then be subject to ministerial approval before being put on restaurant menus and supermarket shelves. This would mark the first time these proteins would be sold for human food in the UK. London-based Meatly has already commercialised its cultivated dog food. Let's go. We could be less than a year from cultivated meat in the UK. Oh my god, it's been a while. I felt, you know, I'm not gonna lie, you can find an article where I say that we'll expect to see it on the shelves in Europe. I think I said 2022. I think I did. I think I said 2022. Let me find this. You're active. Chris Bryant. Oh no, I share my name with an MP, so that's not very helpful. Alright, I'm not going to be able to find it now. Maybe they took it down. I think it was You're Active. Anyway, that was optimistic of me at the time, but oh my god, we are maybe less than a year from finally getting cultivated meat here in the UK. Let's go! The FSA's comments came after it published a report on innovative food technologies most likely to enter the UK market over the next decade. The agency cited climate risks, supply chain and price shocks, and import dependencies as the drivers of these innovations, which could support year-round production of proteins, fats, and functional ingredients in controlled, climate-resilient environments. Yes, this is what we've been talking about. The food security stuff, I think, is huge. Supply chain, price shocks, import dependencies. The price of beef in the UK is like that at the moment. It's way up. So cultivated meat can help to insulate against some of those shocks. The regulator classes these technologies into 3 tiers based on their potential impact on the UK food system, their feasibility for safe adoption, and the regulatory preparedness required. Realising their benefits, it said, depends on clear, predictable pathways to approval, sufficient pilot-scale capacity, and early regulator engagement. The food system is always evolving, and as a regulator, we need to keep pace with that and keep pace with the industry so that we can help ensure that new products are safe, said Thomas Vincent, Deputy Director of Innovation at the FSA, which co-published the report with Food Standards Scotland. Tier 1, 0 to 5 years. The first tier concerns technologies either already authorized on the domestic market, nearing approval, or generating active early engagement. Cultivated meat fits into this category. The FSA said this technology has the potential to change protein supply chains, but it still suffers from consumer skepticism over product safety, taste, texture, and price. This is compounded by issues around scalability, such as the cost and availability of inputs and other engineering and operational challenges. That said, emerging innovations showed strong potential for cultured meat to overcome these barriers. Research into animal component-free growth media is looking to significantly lower costs. Advances in cell line engineering can improve growth capacity, and new bioprocess approaches could increase yields with fewer resources needed. Alongside these developments, increasing automation and digitalization, including AI-enabled growth media development, monitoring and enhanced quality assurance technologies, are expected to improve consistency and support commercially scalable production, the FSA said. Together, these innovations signal a sector that is rapidly maturing scientifically and technologically, it added. Its 2025 research found that up to 41% of Brits are willing to try these proteins, outlining the potential for this sector. Precision fermentation, which 46% of consumers are open to trying, is a well-established Tier 1 technology with proven scale, think insulin or rennet. It's been extended to functional food ingredients like animal-free proteins. These foods also need pre-market authorization and face hurdles like cost reduction during scale-up, achieving consistent quality, and generating comprehensive safety specifications. Biomass fermentation is usually non-novel and is applied to foods already widely available in the UK, such as Quorn's mycoprotein. More innovative uses are emerging, including new fungal, bacterial, and microalgal ingredients, and their challenges include cost-effective scale-up, maintaining sensory quality, and managing food safety considerations. The FSA also named controlled environment agriculture, including vertical farming, which 63% of Brits are willing to try, and insect protein, boo, in the first tier, though the latter's future is dependent on authorization outcomes and public perceptions. Yeah, insects. This ain't it, Chief. As much consumer skepticism as there might be around things like cultivated meat, although 41% saying they would try, this is up from previous years where they've done similar research. Cultivated meats stay winning in the UK, but Brits are more willing than ever, it seems, to try cultivated meat. But insects, not so much. Like most of the surveys that ask about these different forms of alternative proteins, they pretty consistently find that insects have a lower rate of acceptance than cultivated meat. People will not, in fact, eat the bugs, it seems. So this is pretty much all the good stuff in the Tier 1, 0 to 5 years away. Cultivated meat, we've got precision fermentation, animal-free proteins, new forms of biomass fermentation, which are going to be animal product alternatives as well. These are all in this Tier 1. So what actually is left for Tiers 2 and 3, I wonder? Word-based is problematic? Nah, come on. Oh, okay. All right. I thought you were being very soy there, soy daddy, which would be on brand, to be fair. You're talking about in the phrase plant-based. Okay. Vegans are based. True, soy daddy. Onlyplants.com. True. That's where you can check out my other content. Yeah, Linda McCartney's pretty flippin' based, if you ask me. That is one thing that I had training from Hench Herbivore for some time last year. And that's one of the meat alternatives that he recommends because they're very good. They're very high protein, low fat. As I'm fond of saying, plant-based meat is healthier than meat. But they do, in fact, vary quite a bit between the different products in terms of the protein content and stuff like that. But Linda McCartney, like, it's pretty up there. It's pretty good stuff. Yeah, true, Bretta. I think that's basically the more sort of processed options or forms are where you're going to see cultivated meat adoption first of all. Although this looks like a steak. Is this Prima? Okay. So this is cultivated meat. This looks like a little steak. Yeah, that's an interesting question, Soy Daddy. Will cultivated meat kill many of the old protein companies? From what I've seen, it tends to be like a slightly different type of consumer who's interested in the two. Plant-based meat seems to be like mostly for us, basically, like vegetarians, vegans, you know, flexitarians will have plant-based meat. Cultivated meat is mainly appealing to heavier meat eaters. As far as we can tell in the data, that seems to be where cultivated meat is, and that's why you see things like men are more consistently interested in cultivated meat compared to women, for example, whereas the reverse is true for plant-based meat. So I think there is some different markets there. I'm a big plant-based meat consumer, and I will be chomping down cultivated meat as soon as they let it through the UK regulators. Yeah, agreed, Pia. Was she not vegan? She was certainly vegetarian, hey. Tier 2 technologies include those developing quickly but need further research, scale-up, and understanding of the regulatory route. They present significant long-term potential for the national food system. Molecular farming, which uses plants or plant cells as tiny factories to produce proteins and other ingredients, could broaden the UK's ingredient options, but the regulatory rules can be complex because the applicable route depends on both the ingredient and the production method, and different regimes look at different parts of the same product. Gas fermentation is another tech that could come to the UK in the early 2030s, using microbes to convert captured greenhouse gases into proteins and more. Interesting. These ingredients could support a circular economy, help with net zero goals, and provide a domestic year-round supply that doesn't rely solely on farmland or fishing. Oleogelation, meanwhile, I haven't heard of that. It's a form of liquid oil structuring to achieve the functional properties of hard fats and support saturated fat reduction in baked goods, confectionery, and meat alternatives. Oh, okay. Form of liquid oil structuring to achieve the functional properties of hard fats. Okay. And then there are marine-based oils, fibers, and proteins derived from algae and seaweed. Many of these recognized as non-novel and can aid sustainability and functional nutrition in food and supplement products. All right, so this is a bunch. This is tier 2 then. Molecular farming, gas fermentation, oleogelation, and marine-based oils. These are the tier 2 things. This is 5 to 10 years away. But basically all of the good stuff is coming very soon. So this is bad. Like this other stuff, I mean, I can take or leave the oleogelation, to be honest. I don't whatever bro on the oleogelation, right? But cultivated meat within a year coming to the UK, get buzzing. Tier 3, 10 plus years. Would you look at that? These are plant-based. This is from Redefined Meat. They look banging, not gonna lie. Oof, that looks tight. The final tier of the FSA's food innovations list comprises early-stage technologies which are unlikely to be widely available over the next decade, are important to monitor. While they're unlikely to be available over the next decade, are important to monitor. 3D printing, despite being one of the better-known food technologies, is part of this group. In the UK, it's likely to be smaller scale and specialist due to high costs and consistency issues. 3D printed foods offer personalised nutrition and waste reduction, however they face hygiene risks and low consumer acceptance. Really? I wouldn't... Do people care about that? 3D printing? I think that sounds kind of based. Then there's reverse food manufacturing. Eh? Which involves taking nutrients out of food byproducts and turning them into new ingredients. Reverse food manufacturing. That sounds like a polite way of saying throwing up, does it? Well, no, I guess eating. It would be eating. I'm just going to reverse food manufacture this sandwich. Alright. These technologies are largely at pilot concept stage and will need to demonstrate safety and supply chain integrity to scale up successfully. Finally, the report name checks new to nature designer proteins made with AI using molecules that don't exist in nature. Oh, alright, okay. Fucking, we got proteins that don't even exist in nature now. Proteins are used to create new sequences with specific properties like improved gelling, foaming, emulsifying, or nutritional characteristics. Crucially, they need to be supported by a strong safety case. Looking ahead, the FSA recommends that the government continue to keep regulatory pathways easy to navigate, focus on recurring evidence needs that cut across multiple technologies, track international scientific best practices, and encourage early engagement from innovators to boost regulatory clarity. Emerging technologies are reshaping how our food is produced and sourced. This report gives industry and government clear sight of what is coming and what is required to ensure these products meet the UK's high standards, said Vincent. The FSA and FSS's remit is central to delivering these ambitions, and by working early with innovators, we can support safe, responsible growth and build consumer confidence in the foods of the future. Hell yes. Like, let's be real, the tier 3, the 3D printing, the reverse food manufacturing, the designer proteins, like all of this, all right, that kind of sounds, something that sounds kind of cool, but like we can take it or leave it, really. So too with the tier 2 molecular farming, gas femto. I mean, it's possible that these things do have important applications in animal product alternatives. But like these kind of far out things that they're talking about, like whatever, as far as I'm concerned. But the big news here is that cultivated meat is most likely less than a year from being approved in the UK. And that is definitely a bit of hopium for you. That is definitely a good bit of hopium. If you're in the UK. If you're in the US, you've already got some cultivated meat out there, so we're catching you guys up. If you're in Australia as well, I know we've got people from Australia watch sometimes. There's cultivated meat in Australia, in the US, in parts of Asia. Like, in many ways, we're kind of lagging behind here still, but if you're in the UK, get buzzing, because this is on the way. This is happening. There are 4 companies, 4 cultivated meat applications being processed, and they're hoping to approve at least 2 of them in the next year. So get buzzing. Oh man, that's good. Good things are coming, guys. Good things are coming. cultivated meat going to be any healthier than regular meat? There'll be less risk of contamination. There'll be less risk of salmonella and listeria and E. coli and what's the other one? There's another one of them. It's late. So yeah, in that sense, there will be fewer health risks from cultivated meat. There was some chat a while ago about being able to replace the types of fat. Like, you could use healthy seed oils, ironically, to replace unhealthy saturated fat that you would get in conventional meat. But I don't actually know if any companies are doing that. So obviously, when you're making cultivated meat, you can kind of choose what type of fat you're going to put in there. So you can engineer it to be healthier, basically. And certainly there'll be lower risk of contamination than you get when you're chopping up bits of filthy dead animal. Right, where you get the intestines in there, and that's how you get the intestinal infections and everything else. So, yeah. Lovely. Delicious. Be on the lookout for Harry Potter based names. Yeah, true. Yeah, the cultivated meat pet food. I really wanted to get some of that cultivated dog food. But they only released it in one Pets at Home store in a quite difficult to get to part of London. And I didn't manage to get there and get some. And they sold out, and apparently they've done some drops online that have sold out like within hours. So they've done like some limited releases, but they just sell out really quickly. So yeah, you got to be quick off the bat. Hopefully the 2027 releases are going to be more extensive, and we'll actually be able to get them. That'd be nice. More good news from Green Queen. UK hospitals cut emissions by 22% by making plant-based food the default option. Let's go. I think my guy Richie might be involved with this. Not Guy Ritchie, my guy, Richie. Let's see. Catering giant Sodexo's partnership with Nuffield Health, which saw them provide plant-based meals as the default option in UK hospitals, has resulted in a 22% decline in food-related emissions. Sodexo UK and Ireland has announced the results of its latest effort to cut food service and catering emissions through plant-forward menus. In early 2025, the caterer began an initiative to offer plant-based meals by default, with animal-sourced options available only upon request at 35 Nuffield Health hospitals in partnership with behavioural change agency Greener by Default. Yes, this is a Brian Research client that Richie works with. Richie is our director of research. He's going to be coming on the show on Tuesday. He is a very smart guy. He has been driving us all towards greater AI adoption, which is what we're going to talk about on Tuesday. And I think is incredibly important. You might have noticed I've having this little thing coming up at the top of my browser saying Claude is doing something, debugging the browser, it says. That is an AI minion working in the background to end factory farming. So you'll hear more about that when Richie comes on Tuesday. This effort has enabled the companies to reduce the hospital's food-related emissions by 22%, the equivalent of over 100,000 miles driven. Plant-based food is highly nutritious, helps prevent ill health, and can play an important role in recovery, said Dr. Davina Desinjic, charity and medical doctor at Nuffield Health. With our ambition to reduce our carbon footprint, this project gives us a unique opportunity to bring together both environmental and nutritional benefits. Sodexo and Greener by Default previously rolled out a similar campaign with NYC Health and Hospitals, which was highly successful. They've since agreed to take the plant-based by default option to 400 US hospitals by this year. Hell yes. Defaults are such a powerful intervention. Like, this is one of the only interventions that consistently works to increase consumption or increase choices of plant-based foods. Yes, it will, Pooh. That'll be Tuesday afternoon. We'll be live streaming with Richie talking about AI for animals. There's some really good stuff in there, by the way. I'm so stoked about the AI stuff at the moment, guys. We've been using Claude Co-work. Anyone use Claude Co-work? We read about it on the Sandcastles blog. And we've since got subscriptions for Bryant Research, and it is insane. I'm really keen to encourage people to use it because it's only just come out last month. It became a thing in February 2026. And there's, not many people have caught on yet, but it's going to change everything. And so I really want vegans to be the first to start using it and become like exponentially more productive in whatever we're doing. It's unbelievable. I won't talk too much about it because we're going to hear about it on Tuesday, but it's lit. As are plant-based defaults. Why a plant-based by default approach works. As part of the overhaul, more than half of Nuffield Health's patient menu was updated, introducing new options like vegan soup rolls. What is a soup roll? Eh? That seems like a contradiction, oxymoron. And removing the grill bar to place greater emphasis on plant-based meals. Processed meats like bacon and ham were either reduced or removed, and dairy-free options expanded. Previously, 24% of the dishes contained meat, 42% were vegetarian, and 34% vegan. Wow, that's pretty decent baseline already. Only a quarter of their dishes had meat in them, 42% vegetarian and 34% vegan. That's pretty good starting point, right? This is before the intervention. After the changes, the share of meat-based meals reduced to 18%, with vegetarian options staying steady at 41% and vegan dishes now making up 41% of the menu. It's part of Nuffield's health goal to make 90% of its menu plant-based. Do you know what? The gym I go to is a Nuffield gym, and it's pretty expensive, not going to lie. It's not hyper expensive, but I feel like it's kind of expensive what it is. But this makes me very, like, I'm going to go there more now. This makes me proud to be part of the Nuffield ecosystem. Part of the Nuffield family, I'm sure they would like me to say. Good for them. Good for them. I didn't realise they're... Well, I guess they're talking about Nuffield Health hospitals. I'm talking about Nuffield Health gyms, I suppose. They do have a cafe at the gym. I've never eaten there, but yeah. NHS Scotland here was 0% vegan. Really? Fuck that. Nice, Pierre. We've got a vegan cheesecake convert. Yeah. Let us know if you make one, Beer. There are a number of different techniques we can apply to the menu, such as looking at the wording of something, removing words like vegan or meatless, and changing it for something much more appealing, Amy Roach, UK Healthcare Centre Manager for Greener by Default, said in a Sodexo video. An example of this might be, if you have a dish on your menu and you call it a celiac bowl because it's gluten-free, chances are only people who are celiac or gluten-free are going to want to pick that bowl. But if you change the name to be a Thai peanut rice noodle bowl, then so many people are going to pick the dish because it sounds simply delicious, she explained. Yeah, celiac bowl is not, that would not be good branding. That does not sound that appealing somehow. Menu positioning is another important technique. If plant-based options are placed on a separate menu, then only vegans or vegetarians are likely to ask for them. Yes, very true. But actually, if you incorporate them within the main menu, then it allows everybody to select from everything on the menu, said Rach. Yeah, that's very true. Like, places are generally well-meaning when they have a separate menu for the vegan stuff, but it's not good because it means that you're only ever going to choose it if you specifically ask for the vegan menu. Some places will put them on both, which is fine. Like, they'll have a separate vegan menu, but they'll also put all the vegan options on the main menu. But yeah, you don't want like separate menu or even a separate section on the menu that's like the vegan section down here. That's going to reduce selection of plant-based food, so that's not what you want. Sodexo and Greener by Default applied these two approaches to magnify the appeal of plant-based dishes to Nuffield Health's patients. In addition, they delivered webinars, staff training, and leadership briefings while monitoring patient satisfaction to ensure strong quality and experience. Aside from the emissions cuts, the shifts resulted in a 14% decrease in the average meat served per patient and a near 50% increase in plant protein servings. Hell yeah, all right. So the headline figure is 22% emissions. Well, I'm mainly interested in the amount of meat served per patient, I guess. 14%, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Diner satisfaction is a top priority for a plant-forward approach. For Nuffield Health, as much as sustainability was important, diner satisfaction was equally vital. One of my biggest concerns with this project was removing patient choice. We didn't want that to happen, said Matthew Hicks, head of non-clinical assurance at Nuffield Health. When a patient's in hospital, there's very few things they can control, and what they choose off the menu is one of those key things. So we really wanted to make sure that we gave patients a good choice, and we wanted them to not really realize that they were reducing our carbon score. According to Sodexo, high levels of diner satisfaction were maintained throughout the pilot. Moreover, plant-rich diets support better health and patient outcomes. Since surgery places significant strain on the body, plant-based options high in key nutrients can promote faster recovery and overall health. Okay, good. So, still had high satisfaction with the plant-based meals. That was good to see. Because places are not going to maintain it if people if they're like, oh yeah, we reduce our carbon footprint, whatever, but it's like everyone hated the food, then they're not going to maintain it. They're not going to keep up with it. They're not going to roll out to all of their locations. But they stay with a high satisfaction, as they did in this case, then it's good news. They'll keep it up. They'll maintain it. They'll expand it. And so on. Our pilot has shown what's possible, so we're not stopping there. Patients are ready for change, and our aim is to get to a 90% plant-based menu, all while maintaining high patient dining experience, said Disignac. I've pronounced this name different both times I've said it, but never mind. The three organisations will build on this pilot this spring, embedding the plant-based approach through new menu refreshes and across all hospitality and staff menus. Our clients' ambitions of increasing plant-based options in patient dining are closely aligned to our own ambition to deliver 70% low-carbon meals by 2030, said Neil Patterson, Nuffield Operations Director at Sodexo. By 2025, the catering leader achieved a 44.5% reduction in Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions from 2017 baseline, exceeding its target of a 34% decrease for that year. And it halved food waste in this period, 5 years ahead of schedule. Based, let's go Sodexo, good for them. Sodexo also rolled out similar initiatives across 400 US universities via a partnership with behavioral science non-profit for Food for Climate League and dietary change think tank The Better Food Foundation, using the latter's default veg approach. Elsewhere, Greener by Default partnered with 18 hospitals and healthcare systems, both in the US and overseas, in 2024-25, developing plant-forward menus to improve health and climate outcomes, decrease costs, and prioritize diner satisfaction. Well, good for them. Good for Greener by Default and Sodexo for introducing plant-based defaults, or I guess it wasn't even it wasn't actually even defaults, was it? Oh, they do say defaults. But they're talking about other things like menu design and changing the name of dishes. And they cut emissions by 22%. They cut meat per patient by 14%. For a successful pilot, patients still satisfied with the food. And hopefully they're going to roll this out more broadly now. So good for them. Right, I can hear my dog barking his arse off. So I'm going to go and deal with that. He needs to not be outside right now. Let me put on some nice royalty-free music for you to enjoy, as well as some nice patterns. Don't say I don't look after you, alright? Let's do... what do I normally do? Ambience. Calm. Ooh, alright. Enjoy this. True. True tune. Become welfareists. Alright. I'll be right back. We've got a special guest. It's Pancakes the dog. Pancakes, look. Gonna give some hot takes. Are you gonna give some hot takes? Are you? What do you think about cultivated meat getting approved in the UK by 2027? Huh? He's not cut out for content. He's a cutie, isn't he? Always depressing when my my viewers go up when I leave. What am I to take from that? He's a good lad. You're getting good reviews, Pancakes. You're a good boy. You alright, mate? I want some attention. Well, maybe I leave it there, guys. I do have some other stuff that we could go over. Yeah, maybe I just leave the fucking music and shapes playing indefinitely. This seems to be the best content going. It's probably a little bit late for me to go through this heavy stuff. Probably I'll do this on Tuesday. After we speak with Richie. There's a new report about meat industry lobbying that has kept emissions off the climate agenda from the meat industry. There's some analysis of the new House Farm Bill. There's UK MPs. The UK's doing bits lately, I'm not going to lie. The UK's doing well. There's an investment, new Oatly investment in production facility. And there's an EU climate advice piece. But I think I think this is probably all a bit much for this time. What time Tuesday? Good question. Let me actually... I never really do this, but let me actually do a proper plan for Tuesday. So, we'll be speaking with Richie at 2 PM UK time, which is going to be, I guess, 9 AM EST, 6 AM PST if you are on the West Coast and you're a keen bean, or 3 PM Central European time. That'll probably be the start of the stream. And then we'll do news and bits after that. So yeah, 2 o'clock on Tuesday. I'm tempted to just stick on the trancey music and see how long people stay in for. But I'm also afraid if I do that, I'll forget that I'm streaming and then I'll do something embarrassing. Which maybe I would deserve at that point. Oh, is that so, Bretta? Yeah, I feel like I'm not down with all of the vegan streamers. I have like a few that I follow, and I'm sometimes in the chats for Virtue Postmortem and Jake Lagatar and Jeremy Loeb. But there's definitely a bunch that I don't know about. 24-hour welfare is hypno music stream, true. They'll be real based. They'll be real based. Nice, okay, yeah, we're mostly Eurocucks over here. That's good to know. Miss here at GMT. Yeah, okay, P is 1 hour ahead. Nice, nice. And the clocks are changing quite soon, aren't they? Clocks are going to change, go forward by an hour in, I think, 2 weeks. That's always a nice time of year when the clocks change a little bit. Get a little bit more daylight. Oh, we survived the winter, lads. Well done. Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, some of the rest of this news I was going to go over is a little bit on the depressing side, so I think we'll leave that for now. We'll end on a high. And, yeah, I'll leave it there. I do have another welfare debate, like, soft confirmed. I say another. I spoke to VPM yesterday about the cage-free stuff. There was, like, I think just about qualifies as a debate. It was a good conversation in any case. But I'll be speaking to this person, Skyjack Morgan. We have not yet confirmed time or anything like that. But that'll be a welfareism debate. Friendly debate, you know, I like sometimes debating other vegans. We always keep it friendly. We always keep the infighting constructive and polite. So yeah, somebody, he reached out to me and said that someone told him in a stream that I was looking to debate about welfareism. Someone said you was talking shit. So we're going to debate this guy. I haven't seen much of his stuff at all. I don't know if people know who this is. Alright, Pancakes is kicking off again. That means I gotta call it. Thank you for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you. Sky be swearing in under 10 minutes? Oh, really? Okay. It's that's his style, huh? Yeah, thank you, PR. I enjoyed that conversation with VPM. I watched like half a clip of this guy earlier, but I don't really know anything about him. But yeah, hopefully we get a good debate there as well. Pancakes has brought me his ball. So I'm gonna go and do that. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you. We end up doing like 2 hours of Mikhaila Peterson content tonight. But I feel like there's more to come there because their fundraiser didn't make its target. It's been taken down by GoFundMe. They've kept the money, I guess. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. We'll see if we can find out anything more about it. All right, appreciate you guys. And I will see you Tuesday for those who join from 2 p.m. UK time. I look forward to it. Take it easy, guys. Cheers.